You're listening to the Open Books Podcast.
Your next chapter starts now.
Is it love, 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 love that I'm feeling? Is it love, 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 love that I'm feeling? Is she the one?
Welcome back to the Open Books Podcast with Amber and Colby. I'm Amber.
And I'm Colby.
Also, I just have to say very quickly that if I'm a bit off, everyone please bear with your girl.
Yes.
It has been a very rough week, so I just had
Yes.
to put that out there.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Fair enough.
If-
We promise we will go easy on you, Amber.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here.
I'm so, this was so needed.
It was needed. Yes.
I missed it.
Yeah. And we have a lot to catch up on and a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
So we're really excited to be here. It's
Yes.
the 5th episode of the Open Books Podcast with
Number
Amber and
5.
Colby. Number 5.
Number 5.
So this is going to be an interesting one because our last few episodes we have raved about the books that we read, and for this book we have a lot to say, but it ain't all good.
It's not.
No.
And I'm
Straight
standing
up no.
firm. Straight up no. I'm standing firm on my
Yes.
opinions on this book.
Yes, despite what other people think, we still can say how we feel,
Right.
and it ain't good. So
No.
I'm excited to come on here and talk massive shit about this book with you.
Finally.
Massive
Finally
shit.
a book that just didn't
Yes,
hit.
and we have been texting about it, but we've been holding back because I've been waiting to just unleash the beast on this fucking book.
Unload about the book.
So, besides all that, there is a little program and update because we
Yeah.
are going to start doing little mini episodes as well in between our book club episodes.
Which it's so needed.
Yes, it is because, well, we're going to talk about book slumps, but
Yeah.
it's so easy to get in a book slump, and I don't want us to get bogged down in making every episode about a book
Yeah, for sure.
because we like to talk about other things. We have lots to say about other
I know.
things.
I think one of the ideas that I'm excited to talk with you about
Mhm.
are our Amazon favorites,
Yes.
current obsessions. I
Yes.
think those are podcast episodes that I really like to listen to.
Me too.
Especially I'm cleaning the house,
Right.
AirPods are in. I'm just listening to,
Me too.
random episodes like that.
That's me every day. I have my AirPod
Yes.
in with an episode of some type of
Something.
podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, so we want to talk about other things like that. Like you
Mhm.
said, Amazon favorites. We have funny ones like current icks
Oh,
or what are your icks?
Icks. That one's gonna be great.
Yes, and so make sure you follow us on Instagram because we're going to
Yes.
post little polls or questions so you guys can send us your answers and we'll talk about them anonymously
Yeah.
if you want, of course.
Right.
But we can read y'all's answers, talk about them in another episode.
Mhm.
So we're going to do things like that. Also more deep dives into currently watching. I know we mention it on our episodes, but we can go so long on things that we're watching.
Yes, and I get positive feedback on our
Me too.
what we're currently watching,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that will be really fun to do too.
Yeah. Or shows that we have loved in the past, or our favorite shows.
Shows that we hated.
Shows that we hated.
Hated.
Literally. or have people comment or on our Instagram tell us what they're watching. Why should we
Yep.
watch it? So just funny stuff like that. Fun stuff like that. So those are coming soon too.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yes. So other than that, we could do a quick little recap. What's been going on?
I'm here for a quickie.
How are same.
Quick recap.
So you first, Amber. How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I am trying to do anything to stay busy, keep my mind occupied, just with
Mhm.
the current state of, kind of what's been going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, between the book and experiences that I've been going through, I feel so heavily that I'm in a period of growth. I think I was
What a
kinda
nice, beautiful way to tie it together.
Yeah, I think I was texting Colby about this. I just feel like between reading this book and, everything else that happens in life,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be a better person. And I'm not saying I'm a horrible person.
No, not even close.
I'm not saying I'm a bad person, but there's just little areas that I just
Yeah.
want to grow.
Mhm.
That is something about me. I just am always seeking
Yes.
how it could be better. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's just how I'm feeling right now.
I think that's perfectly said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a
Well,
good way
thank
to
you.
look at tough situations
Thank you.
as a way to grow.
But how about you? What's been up?
Nothing really. Same
Yeah.
old, same old. Just
Yeah.
like trying to keep the children busy during the summer.
Absolutely.
It's like so
Momming.
It's literally so exhausting. I know that's also cliche, but it's so true.
I think the moms would agree.
The mamas,
Mamas.
y'all get it. It's hard to keep the kids busy in the summer. And like I saw somebody saying this and I really agreed with it.
Yeah.
It's like I feel kind of guilty because I don't want to play make believe all the time. Like I
Right.
don't want to build forts and play dinosaurs and dragons and shit. But you have to because you're
Yeah.
a mom.
Because you're mom. And it means it's the little things are big.
Like so true for the
those-
kids.
Yes.
Yes.
Like those, and honestly, like you'll probably look back on those moments and be like, damn,
Mhm.
what I would do to play dinosaurs
Oh
again.
my god, make me cry. That's so
I'm telling
true.
you, that's how I've been looking at things. Like,
Yes. That's
But I
such a
get
good
it.
perspective.
but I get it.
Like lately, Matthew, my oldest son's new thing is he wants to play Indian birds. So he wants
Oh.
us to all be Indian birds, and he says it's because we're birds that are flying over the Indian Ocean. And
I love him.
he's so funny. And he's like, "You're the mom Indian bird, I'm the son Indian bird, and we have to pretend like we're birds." But it's so cute.
It is real. That sounds so cute.
It is.
Indian birds.
Indian birds. So that's really it, as far as recaps go. But I love what you said, and I'm really happy you're here because even after all that, it really is so nice to just like sit down and talk
It is.
with your friends and hang out and get your preoccupy your mind, like you said.
For sure. And our podcast really does bring me so much joy. It's something
Yes.
that I truly look forward to.
Hmm.
And I mean, I can't wait to talk about this book too.
Yes.
So,
yeah, exactly.
okay, so before we do that,
Mhm.
do you have any good news to share?
Okay, mine is that I had finally a girls' day in the city
That's
recently.
So nice.
Yes, it was so fun. It was a friends' day, so we just like did a bunch of shenanigans in the city.
Yeah.
And there's like literally nothing better
yeah.
than just being with the girls and like acting nuts because you could just be your 100% full self.
That is so fun. And
Mhm.
that feeling of just letting loose.
Letting it all out there.
Because there really aren't a lot of opportunities to just let loose and be your absolute 100% self.
So true. So when you're with people that you feel like safe to do that with,
You got to do it.
yeah, you got to do it.
Take
And
advantage of it.
yes, and our little group is really lucky because we're so close.
We really are lucky.
Yes, we've all known each other for over a decade, longer than that, like a really long time.
Yeah.
So we're just like, when we're together, it's just like, okay, it's going down. It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
It
So-
looked like y'all had a great time.
It was. So that was my good news. What about you?
I love that. My good news, I'm getting my nails done tomorrow
Love.
by my girl, Maria Ledette. I try to gatekeep her. I'm not going to
I was
lie.
going to say, who?
I'm not going to lie. Shout out to my girl, Maria. I do try to gatekeep her.
Mm-hmm.
You can find her on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and book yourself a little appointment. But she does incredible work.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't had an appointment in
There-
over a month.
It's time.
So I'm missing 3 nails right now. So I'm excited about that. And over the past weekend, I caught my first red snapper.
Oh, yeah. Saw those pictures. Those fish were huge.
They were, and honestly, they're usually bigger than that.
Jeez.
But it was so fun. It was a fishing rodeo
Mhm.
for my friend Millie's boyfriend's family. It was the Cypress House Rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
It was very fun. It was high vibes the entire time. And it was my first
Honestly,
time, like,
what you
offshore.
needed. Yeah.
It really was
Yeah.
what was needed.
That's
Josh and
awesome.
I.
I have
Yeah.
a question. Like, what did y'all do with the fish? Do you eat them? I know that's stupid, but like, not
No.
everybody eats the fish. that they
So
catch.
actually, the rodeo, it's like a family rodeo.
Okay.
And it has a really beautiful purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So the family and friends, they get together, they go fish. And then there's all the different categories, redfish, snapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come back from fishing, everyone cleans their own fish. So immediately they weigh them and then everyone's cleaning their fish.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of that goes to an Amish community in Indiana.
That's beautiful.
And yeah, so it's like paying off, you know,
Yeah.
paying it forward type of thing, which is really beautiful. We did take some home and we did
Eat
fry
them?
it up,
Eat
grill
'em.
it, eat them up, and it was really good. That was like my first time ever having snapper too.
Oh, I don't know. And it's so good when they're fresh like that. Matt's been doing that lately,
Yeah.
like going just on a quick little trip and
Yep.
bringing home the fish and like frying them up fresh.
Oh
That
yeah,
same day.
that was a different
So
experience.
good.
Like I've never experienced that before.
Well, now
And
you
like
know.
your girls from down the road, that's a different down the road. That's Venice. That's a different
Yeah.
down the road. That's not the same down the road we got. So
What kind of fish we got in your down road?
yeah, what's your down the road? So
Yeah,
that's like
Matt
an
just like
inside joke
goes
we
like
have.
right out of Shell Beach and finds just like a couple fish and brings them home.
Yeah,
But it really is so delicious.
it is.
Well, okay, that's all good stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
Next, currently watching. Are you watching anything interesting right now?
Currently, I can't remember if I said this on the last episode. You, me, and my ex.
You did, or like
I'm-
one of them. It's a reality show, right?
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
still watching that. I just watched the season finale. It's just like
Mindless, fun
mindless
stuff.
watching,
Mhm.
which fills
Yes.
your time. I'm also watching the new season of the Kardashians.
Oh, I've never watched the Kardashians really.
Oh my gosh, I've always.
You
I was
keep
gonna say I've always kept up with the Kardashians.
So you keep up with them.
So you're saying you keep up with them? I am saying I keep up with them. Now they're just the Kardashians, and
Yeah.
this season is really so far. I'm only on episode 5, but this season follows Kim and Courtney's little
They're tiffs.
tiff that
Yeah.
they have going on with Dolce and Gabbana.
In the wedding, right?
The wedding, yes, and Kim. So there was Courtney's wedding, where Dolce and Gabbana, was like the creative
Mm-hmm.
director of her looks,
Yeah.
and she felt like she really pulled the '90s Dolce and Gabbana.
Okay.
And then-
Courtney felt like that.
Yes,
Okay.
and then Kim worked with Dolce and Gabbana not too long after
Okay.
as the creative director of one of their fashion shows, and Courtney felt like that looked too much like her wedding, and that Kim was using her wedding as a business opportunity.
Where do you stand with that? I don't know. That's hard.
I think.
I'd have to be in it to know how I would
I
feel.
mean, I feel like if you're a Kardashian, everything's a business opportunity.
Yeah, especially for
don't-
Kim. Like, is that shocking? No. Like,
No.
she's all about the bit. She's a businesswoman.
She is a businesswoman, and I guess I see Courtney's point of being like,
Mhm.
when is enough that you're
Yeah,
just
like,
gonna
can-
like
Can I have
you
anything for
screw over-
myself?
right? Like you're gonna screw over your sister
Yeah.
for this. So
Damn.
I don't know. I just
Mhm.
like to watch.
I'd like to watch a little sister drama.
What about you? Are you currently watching anything?
Okay, I'm also watching reality,
Mhm.
mindless numbness, but I am
Absolutely.
obsessed with Love Island.
I watched the first episode.
Okay, of season 10, the newest one. Ugh,
UK.
It's just chef's kiss. Everything about Love Island.
Absolutely.
It's stunning. I love
It's
Love Island.
Stunning.
So obsessed is a light way to put it. Like, we were talking about walking around with podcasts in your ear. I'm walking around with Love Island in my ear right now.
Yes.
Because I just think it's just a little mood lifter for me. Like, I love the UK of it all.
You know what it is?
What?
It captures a vibe.
A vibe. Caught a
The
vibe.
mood-
It really does.
No. It does.
It's so moody. Like, it just makes you feel like moody in a good way.
In the best way.
in the best way.
I'm
Like,
on holiday.
yeah, I'm on holiday. Yeah. Can I pull you for a chat?
I just love that.
A little
Oh,
cheeky chat.
pull me for cheeky chat. I love that they're from London.
They're from like everywhere
UK.
over on the whole opposite side of the world, which is why I also find it
Everything.
interesting because it just makes the USA people, like the USA Love Island, just such a dud. Because I have watched USA, and
I
it's
don't
just,
like USA.
no, it doesn't hit the
The
same.
US.
I don't like the US. Just kidding.
You know
I
what
do
I'm
love the US of A. What?
It makes me think of that TikTok. My pronouns are USA.
Oh yeah, that's been popping up everywhere for the 4th of July.
Yes, that's why it's so fresh in my brain.
It's the 4th of July. I'm ready to pop these
There you
firecrackers.
go.
Don't pop 'em on me. Where the police at?
What y'all know about that?
Okay, so obsessed with Love Island UK. I just
Mhm.
love their little like the lingo and the way they talk.
I
I
know,
wish
it
I
is
talked like
cute.
that so bad. I wonder if like people from the UK wish they talk like American people. I'd have to think
I-
no,
I feel like no, but I do know that they do their
Mhm.
American accents.
and it's like so bad. Probably the way ours are so bad.
yeah.
Can I pull you for a chat?
Can I pull you for a chat?
So I can't wait till you like catch up with that so we could talk more about like what we
Yes.
think.
But I have watched the first episode.
Yeah, and everyone on the show is just so gorgeous and fit and good looking. It's not
It's
normal.
not fair.
No one actually looks
I
like
mean,
that
they
besides
must
them.
really select.
Oh, 100%. They're very selective about who they
so selective.
pick because no one is just that effortlessly beautiful.
no.
Besides them, I suppose.
I suppose.
Okay, anything else that you're watching?
That's it for me.
Okay. So before we get into the book, there was one thing that I wanted to talk about because I found this interesting. and I want to get your thoughts on
Mhm.
it. And it's book tropes. So I never knew what a book trope was until
No.
TikTok, of
I was
course.
gonna say, I think TikTok really made that popular.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting, really, because it's basically just like a genre within a genre, and
Yeah.
like I think people without realizing fall into certain book tropes and stick with it because like that's
Mhm.
what you like.
Yep.
So we're obviously in our like thriller horror era, which we'll get into,
Right.
but that's what we've been into. And so I
Mhm.
pulled up a bunch of different thriller book tropes, and I want to read
Oh, I
some of
love
them,
it.
and we'll see like which one do you find yourself gravitating towards, or like which ones do we hate?
I can tell you right away.
I know, me too. So okay, so like for an example, of like romance book tropes. So romance is obviously the genre, and then like
Right.
smaller genres within that would be the book trope, which is forced proximity, like where the character, I don't know, forces himself to be around a person to
Yeah.
make them fall in love, or enemies to lovers. So
I could like enemies to lovers.
I could. I think I've
think-
read a few enemies to
yeah.
lovers. Like Ugly Love was kind of enemies to lovers because
Right. Yes.
they were enemies.
That's
at
a
first.
perfect example.
Yes. So, okay, here is some thriller book tropes. The first would be the intelligent psychopath follows a functioning psycho who plays terrifying mind games.
Like
Butcher in the Rand, maybe?
love.
What else would be a terrifying psychopath? Literally Pretty Girls. He was a psychopath. Follow
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the detective follows a clever detective who often struggles to relate to other characters, can be abrasive towards them as they uncover the truth of the story.
Okay.
That's whatever.
Meh.
Yeah, those are like the asshole detectives, basically.
Right.
Murder mystery follows the death of a person and the events surrounding it. I mean, yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
We love a murder mystery.
Give me more.
Like Then She Was Gone. Perfect
Then
example.
She Was Gone.
Obsessed.
Y'all, if you haven't read Then She Was Gone, I don't know how many other ways we can say go
Read
read
it.
that book.
Read it.
It was
Sticks with you.
such a phenomenal book.
One of those books that makes you be like, wow, reading. Period.
Phenomenal book.
So good. Okay. The broken protagonist follows any type of person from an average citizen, cop, private detective, therapist, or any other type of main character who's seen the worst in humanity or life and they try to grapple with it throughout the book. Maybe that would even be Tender as the Flesh. Like he was a broken protagonist.
He was
Can we call him a protagonist? I don't know. But he was a broken man.
a broken man. And I mean, I think it's however the book's written.
Right.
And if they can develop a character, the broken protagonist would be a good trope.
Agree. The isolation setting follows a person or group of people in a secluded atmosphere where the stakes are high.
Okay.
I like a good isolation. Like Never Lie.
Never Lie. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, isolation. Because it could be creepy.
Correct.
The Circle of Suspects follows a group of people in a secluded atmosphere where the stakes are high. Wait, I read that wrong. Follows a group of people who are suspected of a crime.
That just makes me think of Clue.
Yes, but
That's
you know,
the first thing I think of.
totally. But you know what else it made me think of was the other book by Frida McFadden we read. I don't know if it was The
Oh.
Inmate. Maybe it was one of her books where they were like, going in the past to the situation where there was a killer that happened on like a friend's trip. And
I
you
think
didn't
that was The
know. I
Inmate.
think it was The Inmate
It
too.
was The Inmate.
And like everyone was a suspect.
yes.
It's like that Spider-Man meme.
Just point at you.
That
Who
done
done
it?
Stop it.
Jinxie.
Jinx.
Okay. The Deadline follows a story in which a villain's plot will succeed at one particular time, and the hero has up until that moment to prevent it.
Okay.
But I don't know if I've read a book with the deadline trope, but this made me think of the movie, the Batman movie. Which one was it? With Heath Ledger. You don't know?
I'm not a huge
Batman.
superhero.
Me either, honestly, but this one
But I
was-
have seen the. Excuse me.
Excuse me. What?
Excuse me. I have seen that Batman.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And
Yes.
it's like it was deadline. It was like I'm gonna do all these things. You have to stop me. And then the
I
world
feel like if we thought really hard, we could come up with a
so
book.
much for all of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the Axe Crazy follows the opposite of the intelligent psychopath. An Axe Crazy character is extremely unstable, easily set off, capable of sudden violence.
That sounds great to me.
Yeah, love it. I love
I
that.
like that.
Like an unhinged character.
Mhm.
This dystopian society follows a world in which society is different from our current reality. So much like what we've read. Tinder.
Anything. So, and I know Colby and I have discussed this, but anything in which it seems like it could possibly happen
Yes.
freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
Handmaid's Tale,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Anything like post-apocalyptic
Yeah.
kind of, gives me the
Could
creeps.
maybe happen. Right.
This book, I don't know, The Giver didn't give me those vibes, but like
No.
that world would still suck.
Yeah. And it's definitely dystopian.
Yeah, so ugh,
Fahrenheit 451.
absolutely. What's the other one? Same author as Fahrenheit.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh no, it's not. I'm thinking of Harrison Bergeron.
Oh, I don't know.
Also, so anything
Yeah.
in
and-
that genre, it gives me anxiety.
Yeah, me too.
I can read about serial killers and
Right, all day.
murders.
Right.
Like that doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that
Horror,
actually.
like, ghosts, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Check.
But if it's like, this could be our reality one day and it's scary, count me
Yeah.
out.
I don't.
Handmaid's Tale was a good example. I would be interested in reading that book. I would, because
Oh my
I
gosh.
I would like to compare the book to the TV show. Did you watch the TV show?
I couldn't watch the TV
It
show.
could, because it was like that freaky to you. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like it, but I could watch it. Like,
My mom and Millie
mhm.
rave about it, and I will say, shout out Mildred. Usually, if Millie says that something is good,
Mhm.
a TV show is good,
It is.
it's usually pretty freaking good.
Yeah,
I
she
will
gets
give
it.
her that. She knows her
The
TV
Handmaid's
shows.
Tale is like one of those ones with the production quality is so good that like
Right.
the show is good.
Mhm.
But honestly, if you watch The Handmaid's Tale, let me know if y'all agree with this, because the last like season or two fell off for me. Like I just,
Mhm.
when the show is just so good those first few seasons,
Right.
and then it just is like, okay.
Sometimes shows just carry on unnecessarily just because I guess they get
100%.
approved for more.
yeah, and it's like
seasons.
this show should have ended. I was literally just talking about this with my brother
Yeah.
about The Walking Dead. Like I loved that show.
I never got into it.
Well, it was like so good the first couple seasons. It was like, all the rave.
Right.
But it went on way too long. It was
I
like,
just started losing you.
started losing you. It was like, what else can happen here?
Yeah.
Cut it out. Knock
I
it
don't
off.
know. Before you jump into your summary,
Yes.
can we please touch on book slumps?
Book slumps. Yes. we have
Because
to.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm in a book slump.
So what would you consider a book slump?
For me, a book slump is when I have no desire
Mm-hmm.
to pick up a book and read.
Yep.
And I hate to even say that.
I
Because-
think that's so relatable though.
Yeah.
And this usually happens. This happens all the time for me.
Oh yeah,
It's-
it's perfectly normal.
Yes.
I mean, it happens.
Yes. And it usually happens like after a really big reading binge.
Yes.
Like, because we've been on a binge.
binge.
And even before we started the podcast,
yes,
we were on a binge because we always,
always reading.
always, and talking about what we've read.
Yep.
Even though this book was terrible, I was kind of in a book slump even before we started reading it.
It was.
Like, it was hard for me to pick this one up and start it.
Oh yeah, it was hard for me to get through the book.
Yeah.
I was struggling. I finished the book this morning.
Yeah, I know.
I was.
And this has been like 2.5 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
you
it
know,
was
for us, it's
hard.
a long time.
Yeah, like yeah, because we'll fly through a book
Mm-hmm.
in a week, a few days. I mean, if it's really good, a day.
Right.
This one, I couldn't.
This one pushed the slump to a million degrees.
New heights.
New heights.
I didn't know I could slump this hard.
It was slumping
so I was
motherfucking hard.
slumping.
Yes, book slumps are so real. I see people talk about them like they're completely normal. And I think it just takes maybe a really good book to get you out of a book slump.
Right.
And it's just a mindset thing. Like
It is.
sometimes it's just like I'll read for months and months and months, like book after book. And then it's
Mhm.
like I would rather do anything else than look at a book. It
Oh.
just hits you.
It does. It
So,
really does.
You're in a book slump right now.
I am in a book slump right now.
I am too. Like for
Like
real.
hardcore.
Hardcore. Hopefully, well, I think one thing that's going to help our book slump is our mini episodes that are coming up.
I know. I just
Because-
like lit up.
I'm
Like,
like,
what? Mini episodes.
Because we're not talking about books. Now, don't take this the wrong way, people. We love our books.
Yeah,
don't
misunderstand.
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't
Don't misunderstand us.
Don't get it twisted. We will be back talking about books. But
Hundo.
our mini
P.
episodes are gonna like give us something. You know, it's not gonna
It's
be like
fresh.
and the pressure of like I have to read this book. This book sucks, but we have to come on and talk about it.
Right.
So
right.
book slumps are real.
Yeah.
But you get out of them.
Oh yeah, just like any slump.
Exactly.
A book depression.
A little book
It's a
book
little book
depressy.
I'm a little depressing.
So book gods like help us out.
yes,
We're ready to get out of our
I
slump.
need something to just like shock the system.
Yeah. Yes. And we'll talk about that with our next
Yeah.
books. Like what did we choose and why?
Absolutely. So,
Okay.
are you ready to jump into the book?
There's never a time like the present.
Never a
and
time like the present.
We're just gonna have to do it.
all right.
Because we're going to have to relive this terrible book through the summary. And I do apologize in advance, but once again,
god awful book. I'm saying it.
just say it.
I'm saying
I'm
it.
saying it. I'm sticking with it. This book was no good, and I am going to relive it through the summary, and you are going to listen to it because y'all have to understand our grievances by knowing like why. The summary is kind of short though, shorter than others because the book was shorter.
Right. Okay.
All right, here goes nothing.
Take it away.
Okay, so first of all, the author, of course. So it was written by Augustina Bazterrecka. Sorry if we're saying that wrong. She's an Argentinian author. She, like we said before, this book was originally published in Spanish in 2017. It was translated to English in 2020, and the book really took off during that time. So it was super popular. It has a 3.84 ratings on Goodreads, which I don't think that's correct.
A stretch.
It's a stretch, but like I said, we'll get into that. But there are many mixed reviews on this book. I did a lot of Reddit deep dives when I finished it, and I went on YouTube. I was like, I have to see what other people think, and it was very mixed. Lots of people agree with our stance. So,
well,
yeah,
smart people.
Yeah, right. It was fairly short, falling just under 200 pages, so the summary should be quite quick. Trigger warning, of course. What?
I was going to say that's so crazy because it took me so long to get through not even a 200-page book.
You would have thought this book literally was like the dictionary. Like it was.
Oh, no lie.
I'd have rather read the dictionary.
Get some new vocabulary terms.
Yes. So, trigger warning, this book's graphic. It discusses heavy topics such as cannibalism, a little bit of sexual assault. Like, if you consider that, like, that's what we'll get into. Some questionable things happen in this book. So, summary of the book. Here we go. Tender as the Flesh is written in third-person point of view from the perspective of our main character named Marcos. Marcos is a man who's in the business of slaughtering humans in a dystopian world where all animal meat is contaminated by a deadly virus and humans are now bred for consumption. So, let's get into how this world really works, and then we'll discuss Marcos' place in it. So once it was discovered that animal meat was poisoning and killing humans, the government made the decision to kill and seize all animals. Of course, the world was up in mass chaos at this point. There was much fighting. People were going crazy, having adjusted to this new way of life. It took a little while. It's not really clear how long it took for things to be completely shifted, but the government called this period the transition.
Which I hated. Sorry.
Me too. I hated everything about how the development of this whole transition was made. It wasn't really clear.
No, not at all.
No. So I tried to summarize as best as I could as what the book gave us on how the transition worked. So eventually the business of human consumption was developed and cannibalism was legalized so that humans could get protein from meat once again. The government developed a very strict system in which humans were bred, raised, slaughtered, packaged, and distributed. So think of any animal breeding slaughtering business and put humans in place of that, and that's kind of how it worked. So it was basically that, but different in certain ways. For example, it was different because the humans that were bred for consumption were called head, H-E-A-D. They were called the head. They were raised in facilities where they were stripped of any type of humanity. So they were never given names, never taught anything. They were basically raised to be an animal. Their vocal cords were cut out so that they couldn't scream or object to any pain. And they really didn't have any single thoughts in their brains other than fear and confusion, most likely. Because the second they were born, they were just raised to be literally eaten. So they were differentiated by females, males, and then impregnated females. The females got pregnant only by artificial insemination. There was never any sexual acts done for the head to become pregnant. In fact, it was one of the most serious criminal offenses to have a sexual relationship with a head, quote unquote. That's what they were called. The main way that the head was turned into product to eat was through these facilities. Of course, there were some weird loopholes, like rich people could buy their own head to domesticate, of course, and keep in their homes and breed to eat them on their own. Kind of like if someone was to buy a cow and raise it in their backyard, same situation, except it was a human. So that's how the world works, give or take a few details. Now we're back with Marcos. We found out that Marcos has a wife named Cecilia. She lives with her mother because she cannot cope with the tragedy that happened to Marcos and Cecilia. So what happened was they had a baby named Leo. Leo died in his sleep when he was an infant after Marcos and Cecilia went through a long time of infertility treatments to get pregnant. Cecilia completely shut down in her grief. She moved out, and her and Marcos don't really talk much. They're just separated. He lives his life in complete detachment. He's miserable. He feels nothing. He floats around with a void that really can't be filled. His father, who he was very close to, he suffers from serious dementia and he's in a treatment facility. He also has a sister who he absolutely hates. She comes across as a little insufferable, kind of selfish. She contributes nothing to the health and care of their father. So she kind of sucks. He,
Just straight up, she sucks.
he also has this one lady who he works with in a slaughterhouse who he occasionally hooks up with and has meaningless sex with. Hated. That was so random and unnecessary to me.
It wasn't
Nothing
needed.
No. Like this whole book.
Much of the book.
So, okay, he works in a pretty high position at one of the facilities because his father was also once in the business of meat processing. This is when animals were still edible, and he kind of just like slid into the job.
Mhm.
So he hates the job, but he's kind of desensitized to it, it seems like. He sees what's happening to humans being bred, born, raised, and made into edible meat every day. He describes how the humans, after they are killed, he describes kind of like how they are turned into food. And it's basically just like a slaughter line, like the same way that animals are. So
You know what really got me?
What?
How the hair is removed.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No, because it's like they're like
Y'all, they spin them.
Yes.
They spin really fast.
And what, the hair flies off? Like, I don't
No, they have there's like a machine type of thing
know.
that
It's
takes
too
the
much.
hair off.
It's
And then
lit-
it really is, they hang like by their feet. And
Yeah.
it's a conveyor that moves them from room to room.
Yeah.
Like she was saying, it's
A slaughter line.
A slaughter line.
I pictured like, well, when you said the hair part, I pictured like, the rotisserie chickens that are like
Yeah.
they go into rotation. That's what I
It's-
pictured in my head when he was describing it.
Yeah.
And they remove the hair.
Yep.
So it's like a slaughter line, the hair's removed,
Mhm.
the legs were cut off, her arms
Arms
were
were
cut
cut
off,
off.
her legs
Her
were cut
eyes
off,
were gouged out.
her tongue was cut out, her toes were cut off. And then wait, in this part of the book, he's
Stop.
like, the toes go in the toe bin.
Oh, I know, like it's nothing.
He's like, the tongue goes in a bin that says
Tongues.
tongues.
Like no
The
shit.
penises go in a bin that says penises.
Penises.
I was like, what? So, anyways, at this point, okay, it seems to be normalized. They call this special meat, quote unquote. Okay, and it seems like people at this point are just eating the special meat like you would literally eat a hamburger.
They are.
So, yeah, they're eating the special meat, and that's just part of life at this point in the book. Marcos, he hates it, but like he's very numb to the whole thing. So, there's like one random part in the book too, another unnecessary part of the book to me, with the hunting reserve game. This is where like wealthy people can play a game of like hunting.
It made zeros. I'll save it.
Yes,
I'll
but
save it.
I know, because it came out of kind of nowhere. It was just like Marcos is with these really rich
All of a
people
sudden.
all of a sudden, and they're playing a game of hunt where they're hunting like actual humans.
Right.
Apparently in this world, if you were like in a lot of debt, or you maybe have committed a crime, you can get forgiven for that crime, or like expunged
Yeah.
if you go and let these people hunt you, and if you
Yep.
can get it out and live, you're forgiven.
Yep.
Well, of course the person like doesn't live and they eat him. So
I
that
just-
happened. Okay. So
mind blowing.
okay, now we're gonna get into like when we get to part 2, some more action takes place. So one day Marcos is given a gift of a female dropped off to his house by someone high up. I don't remember who. But he's told that this female, meaning like a female that was bred to be eaten, she's called an FGP. That means she's basically just like purebred and
Yes.
worth a fortune.
Yep.
So she gets dropped off to Marcos's house, and he's like, "Here you go. It's for you. You can keep her, slaughter her, eat her on your own, as long as you like abide by the rules and regulations of it."
Mm-hmm.
So he really didn't want this female. It was very clear. He literally left her tied up in his barn for weeks. He gave her just enough food and water to keep her alive. One night, after visiting a zoo, he like went to the zoo and spiraled, thinking about like what life used to be. He found these puppies. He had this like overwhelming grief about losing. Bless you.
Sorry.
It's okay. Bless you. Losing his son. He goes to the barn after he has this like incident at the zoo with himself. He goes back home. He goes to the barn to clean the female and wash her finally. Who knows how this poor female, how long she was in there. But he goes and he's like, I'm going to clean her.
I'm just gonna give her a little wash.
A little washy. So she's naked. She's tied up. She's unable to speak. She's afraid. But he talks about how beautiful she is, how she has no idea who or what she is. She's innocent. She's valuable in the industry. but really he treats her no different than an animal. So Marcos cleans her, and then he does the unspeakable thing, which is he has sex with her. So then we go on to part 2.
Oh my gosh.
We enter part 2 of the book, where we discover that he named the human Jasmine, and she is now 8 months pregnant. He has taken Jasmine into his house and taught her the basics of survival and self-care. She now knows how to use the bathroom. She knows how to clean herself. She's fascinated by the TV. She enjoys drawing. It seems that Marcos has started to teach her a little bit about humanity, though she has no real idea of what that means. She's just attached to Marcos because he's probably the first person that's ever made her feel safe in her entire existence. But he does still keep her in a locked room in his house. It has a bed, and he leaves her food in a bowl. And he does spend any time that he's not at work with her. He watches her through these cameras to make sure she doesn't hurt herself or the baby. He seems to be really cautious of the baby in her belly, which is his. So he still, though, throughout all of this, treats her kind of like a pet. Like, she follows him around like a pet, and he's just like, okay, come here. Tries to keep her safe. So one day, a man comes for an inspection of Marcos and the female. This is kind of part of like the rules and regulations. If you have a head, quote unquote, at your house and you're raising it to eat it or whatever, there's rules and regulations, and people have to come and inspect to make sure that there's nothing nefarious going on. So there was, in fact, something nefarious going on because Marcos got her pregnant. So he starts freaking out. He's like, I have to figure something out quick. He's able to like con his way into getting this inspector to leave. But he knows that,
Which also wasn't developed.
So not developed. It was like he had a pull. He was getting someone to sign. He was getting someone at the facility to just let him sign off on the head without actually looking at her. Apparently that raised no red flags.
Right.
So he knew, though, that like his time was coming, and then they were going to come and see what was really going on. So somewhere in the midst of this, Marco's father passes away. He attends a gathering for him at his sister's house. His sister has made the whole thing a charade to get sympathy and attention. He finds that his sister has her own human being kept in her home to be eaten. The human is, when he finds her, is missing an arm, and then he realizes it's the same arm that was served on a platter for his guests who are attending the wake on behalf of his father. So he gets in a huge argument with his sister. He tells her she's disgusting, and then he goes home. Also in the midst of this, he's consumed by his grief, his hatred for his life. He kind of starts spiraling. His actions become a little unhinged. He's also called on this day because a random emergency happened at work where there's a truck full of head that was being transported to the facility that he worked in, and it topples over on the ground, and all of these head people fall out, and they're like attacked by a group of scavengers. In this book, scavengers are people who beg for and wait for scraps to be thrown at them. Apparently they're like starving and ravenously hungry, so they start just like eating the head that fell off the truck. That happened randomly, and then he goes home. So
yeah, like no follow-up with that either.
No, so he goes home, and this is the end of the book, okay? He finds that Jasmine is in labor, and there's something wrong. He calls his wife, Cecilia, who literally they have barely spoken the whole book. The whole book. But he's like, Cecilia, I need you. Come over. She's a little reluctant, but she shows up. So she's shocked, obviously, right away to find a female head is in labor in what used to be her home. She's disgusted with Marcos initially. He tells her that the baby is his, but she needs help. So once Cecilia, I believe she was a nurse, she realizes that Jasmine and the baby are in trouble and there's a problem, and she completely switched her demeanor, and she turned into like this very compassionate, loving person, and she helps Jasmine. She's like calming her down. She's helping her give birth.
Yeah.
So the baby's born. Cecilia instantly kind of like falls in love. She holds the baby in her arms, and Jasmine, who just gave birth, she can't speak. She has no idea what is going on.
Right.
She's in pain. She holds out her arms to the baby, to her baby. Okay, at this point, though, Marcos takes a club to Jasmine's head, where she was branded. He knocks her in the head. She falls to the ground unconscious. The book ends here, where Cecilia asks Marcos why she could have given us more children. Marcos drags the body of the female to the barn to slaughter her. He says it in a radiant voice. She had the human look of a domesticated animal. End of book.
And that's how the book ends.
No.
What?
Excuse me?
Okay. Let's just jump into our
do it.
DBQs.
Yeah.
If this is your first episode and you're just joining us, our DBQs are discussion-based questions where we dive deeper into the book. So let's just jump in.
Let's do it.
Okay. What did you think about the writing in this novel? Did you find it smooth, enjoyable, difficult? Why?
Okay. So I did not like the writing of the novel. This might have to do with, my nanny said this and she was probably right. I think you might have said this too. The fact that it was translated.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think a lot of it fell through the cracks in the
Mhm.
translation of Spanish to English because there was so many things that weren't really making a lot of sense to me. The writing was so bland to me.
Yes.
I felt like there were descriptive parts,
Mhm.
but not really. Like it was descriptive about the gory images,
Yes.
but not enough about like what was actually happening. So
I
that's
agree
how
with
I felt
that.
about the writing.
Yeah. For me, it was so choppy.
Choppy,
It
perfect
was
word.
so choppy. And
Mhm.
again, benefit of the doubt, I do think it is because it was translated. So some of the quotes or the lines in the book, I just don't think hit as hard as they might have done in Spanish.
Agree.
But still, like the way I don't even like were the characters even described?
No
No,
idea
and that's hard for me. Like
about
I
any of them.
couldn't connect to anything, and again, it's very hard to connect in a book like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like Womb was a crazy book.
100%.
But
That book,
but still, I was like, let's talk about our girl, Shyla.
Yeah. Because his writing was so developed, and I
Yes.
felt completely connected to every part of that story.
Yes.
And that book was shorter than this one, and I
Mhm.
felt connected to it.
Yeah. So for me, it just
No.
It was hard to follow too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next question. In the first half of the book, we are learning about the world in which this story takes place, and we slowly get to Marco's backstory. Is there anything more you wished the book elaborated on as far as how cannibalism came about and how it all worked?
Yes. I wanted to know so much more.
Yeah.
So I think that a topic or concept as big as this book, which is the world turning to cannibalism being legalized, this book should have been like 500 pages, in my opinion, to really explain how does the world that we live in today transition, quote unquote, transition. Into what it was in this book.
Yeah.
It was like a couple paragraphs where the author was like, people were dying from animal meat, people started freaking out, the government legalized cannibalism. That was
Done.
it. Like, what?
That's it? I agree. You know what I want to know?
Mhm.
What was the virus?
What was the virus?
How did that come about?
Right.
Like we
Right.
got nothing. Okay, what is the virus called? What?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Exactly.
It was just hard for me.
Yeah, and also, what? We can't be vegans or something? Like, okay.
Tofu.
Hello?
I mean, there's
What happened to salad? Like, I understand the need. And look, don't come for us because we are not health professionals.
right.
But I do have to ask. And, like, if you know, let me know, please. Do humans need protein from meat to survive? Like, maybe, sure, it makes us stronger or whatever it might be. It might
Yeah.
be healthy for us. But do
Yeah.
we need it to live? That's a question that I have.
Yeah. I'm sure we could look that up. I just don't
Yes.
know because there's people that vegan,
Right.
like they have zero animal byproducts
And they get
at
their
all.
protein from other sources.
Correct.
So what was that not explored?
That's what I'm wondering. It was so bad that we turned to we're going to eat people.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't wrap my mind around it. And
Mm-mm.
I'm not sure because it didn't say when the book was set, right?
No.
Like what time
Mm-mm.
period?
And like there wasn't any indicators of what time period. They didn't talk about cell phones because there was no descriptions of anything. So I don't know what time
He
period
did
it
talk
was.
about his cameras that he watched her through.
Okay.
So like it had to be
Some-
kind of present,
modern day. Yeah.
but like everything was abandoned. I guess anything that had to do with animals because I can only reference the zoo.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
then
all we
something I
got.
thought was kind of funny, kind of, was how the sister was freaking out because he didn't use an umbrella because apparently, all we know was from the sister's perspective. This wasn't
Mhm.
delved deep into, but like she was saying that you need to have an umbrella on when you go outside because
Yep.
if the birds shit on you,
Yeah.
you get the virus. So it's like, what?
Yeah, and Marcos, who worked in the industry, was like,
Mm-hmm.
"That's not true."
Right. Okay,
So
that's
like
a whole
clearly
nother
the
thing.
government is like obviously big and in on it and pushing a narrative.
That's a whole nother thing, though, that wasn't explored. How does Marcos know it wasn't true? What is the truth? Was the virus a conspiracy? I mean,
Right.
we know
Why
from
doesn't he believe it?
Exactly.
Which would have been a great chapter.
Exactly. We know that he doesn't believe in it. Why? And do other people not believe in this? I know it was mentioned that
We
some
will
people
never know.
were conspiracies about it, but still, it just needed to be delved deep into way more. It was
Yeah.
such an I think the topic is interesting, okay?
The topic was interesting.
The execution?
Sure. Sucked.
Exactly.
Sucked.
So yes, I wish we knew so much more about how this world came to be.
For sure. Okay, moving on. The story is told from the point of view of Marcos, sorry,
Mhm.
y'all, wrong name. Not Marcus.
Not Marcus. Marcos.
Marcos, who is really troubled and broken. Are there any other perspectives you think the novel could have benefited from hearing?
Okay, kind of like what I was just saying. Yeah, any other perspective would have been nice to know. How did other people, I don't know, what was their take on it? What was their experience with it? Why does Marcos believe one thing and the sister believe something else? So like,
Right.
maybe I don't even know who in particular I would like to hear
Well,
from.
He, I can't remember where this was said, but he said his sister can't think for herself.
Mm-hmm. He did say that about his sister.
But we don't know
yeah.
what was being fed to people
Yeah.
on the news or whatever in
And
this
I
world.
think that's an interesting concept to have been dug deep into, the fact that the media can have such a impression on
Right.
people.
Right.
I think that's a great topic to dig into. This book could
Same.
have went into
Had
such an
so
awesome
much
direction.
potential.
So much potential if it would dug into like what was the propaganda behind the whole thing,
Yeah.
and how did people start believing what the government had to say, and like, or maybe it would have been cool to get someone from the government, their
Yeah.
perspective on how they were able to get the world to transition into this.
For sure. I think Cecilia's point of view would have been good.
Yes, I think so too.
Just because I think that would have captured the audience into understanding what grief can do to a family.
100%.
Not saying what happened was right on any level.
By the end of the book, yeah.
Right. But I do think that it would have made people see how desperate
Mm-hmm.
they were to rebuild a family or
Yes.
fix the hole that's in their heart or something. But we
That-
just didn't get that.
No, that's such a good point. One, I have to say this, the
Mhm.
fact that the baby's name was Leo,
Colby, I thought of you immediately.
I almost put this fucking book down. I have a baby named Leo. Literally, he's a baby. He just
Yeah.
turned 1.
Yep.
And they said that Leo, D-I-E-D, I can't even say the word
No,
with
no,
his name
no,
next to it. And that just pissed me off. You know what? Like, I think we were texting about this.
Yeah.
I can handle a lot of things in books. Like,
Yes.
I can handle the worst of the worst.
I am the same way.
But like children and like puppies, because this book even touched on puppy,
Yeah,
like
I just
animal cruelty.
Yep.
No,
I just
with no
No.
payoff. And we'll talk about this with the themes, because that was like my major theme.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, we could have gotten so much more from Cecilia to understand what it feels like to lose a child, and
Yes.
maybe why she did what she did at the end would never be
I-
justified.
No, but it would
Mm-hmm.
the theme of desperation.
Yes. And that I think lots of people who have gone through something similar might understand.
Yes.
But we never got that. We don't know anything about Cecilia
No.
other than what kind of happened to them.
Like, okay, we found out at the end she was a nurse.
Okay. Her kid, they went through the situation. The baby passed away. That's literally all we know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was
Y'all,
I don't know.
We're going ham on this book, but
Okay.
it deserves it.
it had to be said.
Yeah, it does.
Just had to be said.
It had to.
Okay. Once Marcos is given the female Jasmine, where did you predict the story was going to go?
Okay. I thought that maybe he was going to start having sex with her
Mm-hmm.
or being inappropriate with
Mhm.
her. Not because I got any type of character development from Marcos, because we didn't get much about him to know if he would do something like that.
Right.
But I was just like, those just kind of the vibes I was getting, because he kept calling her pretty and stuff like that. And I was like,
Mhm.
what else are you going to do with this female? Like, and
Female.
it was just so sad, honestly, to think about if this book were real, okay? And there were people
Right.
literally just born and raised into being nothing.
It's so awful.
It really is.
And like they don't even get a voice. They literally don't get a voice because their
Yes.
vocal cords are cut.
Yes.
I just can't. I can't wrap my head around that.
Mm-mm. No, and then, like we said about the writing, it wasn't even developed enough for us to understand how this came about. So it just was absurdity.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know where what he was doing with Jasmine was gonna go. I didn't think this though. Did you predict that he might get her pregnant?
No, no. And the reason why I didn't is because he was going so hard about how that's like the biggest crime you can do and how he's
Mhm.
worked in the industry for his whole life. So no, I didn't think he was going to do that.
And it seemed like he had some type of sympathy towards the head or
That's
people
what
like
I
Jasmine.
thought. I thought, oh, he's gonna play house because he
Right.
misses Cecilia.
Right, or he might start teaching Jasmine things and giving her
Yeah.
a good life.
I thought maybe he was gonna be a change because he knew. I think he knew it was wrong what was happening at these slaughterhouse
Yeah.
or slaughter plants. So I thought for a second he was going to
Yeah.
give her a second chance,
But that's not
and
what
then
happened.
it just took a complete turn. I was like,
Completely dark. He just completely changed.
You are also sucky. Okay, next question. Marco's action towards Jasmine are extremely questionable. How did his relationship with her make you feel?
Okay, his relationship with her made me feel okay, because I felt two ways about it.
Mhm.
Icky, of course, at first, because I was like, well, when he first said that he was going to have sex with her or he was going to do the unspeakable, I was like,
Yeah.
is this rape? Like, for real, because she literally can't consent.
Right.
So, yeah, it kind of was,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, you would consider that rape, right?
yes, I would.
Okay, because I know that's like a big subject and touchy subject, but I
Yeah.
was like, were we not going to talk about this?
I mean, she could not, like you said, she could not consent.
Right.
It
made me feel icky.
I was so uncomfortable.
Me too. And then, of course, the picture in my head popped up of the act, and I was like thinking, what is poor Jasmine doing? Does she just lay there? Like, does she have
doesn't
any
know
idea?
any different.
No, she doesn't. And that was really sick.
But
to
you
me.
got to think, like, she was bred
Mhm.
to just get pregnant,
Mhm.
and then
That's it.
that's it.
Right. But
Become a meal.
become a meal. So she literally doesn't know anything.
It's so wrong
I
on
know.
so many levels.
It really is. So when once that changed my whole mind about Marcos. Not that I really thought much about Marcos because we had no character development, but I was like, okay, you're terrible.
He
Then
is.
though, okay, when he kind of starts showing her a little gentleness, he's kind of like, I guess, quote unquote, you can call it that. I was like, well, okay, Marcos, God, the least you can do is give the girl food and like real meals and baths and teach her how to do something.
Yeah, but he did all that for selfish gains.
Exactly.
Like he made her trust him.
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't realize that until, of course, the end. I thought maybe he was going to play house, like you said. I was like, maybe he's going to forge some papers to make it look like she was slaughtered and eaten, and then he was going to just, like, keep her in his house forever, and she was going to, like, learn how to be a mom to the baby that she created,
Right.
that she deserved.
Right.
But no. No.
And him singing to her to
Right.
comfort her.
Sick.
I don't think he meant, like, this was all a part of getting what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of, like, the theme too,
Mm-hmm.
is that people will go to any
Selfish.
lengths. Some people, I'm not saying all people.
Yes.
Some people will go to any lengths,
Mm-hmm.
step on whoever they need to get what they want.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he manipulated her.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And he did the worst of the worst to her. He literally took her baby. And you know what's also crazy that I just thought about in this moment?
Mhm.
Not crazy, but so, like, true,
Mhm.
is like a mother's instant connection to a
Yep.
kid and an instant instinct, because Jasmine had never had any type of life experience.
Yep.
She
doesn't
didn't
know love.
left from right. She
Yep.
don't know what she even is. She doesn't know
Yep.
what a human is.
Right.
But she reached her arms out for her baby instinctively, and they took it from her.
Yep.
I got goosebumps because I'm so mad.
It's awful.
Terrible.
But like that, going back to like a dystopian type of book,
Mhm.
this one's very extreme.
It is.
But this is these are the topics that freak me out.
Yeah. No, 100%. I also saw when I was looking at reviews on Reddit, people were like bashing the book, and someone commented back and was like, but the thing about dystopian novels is if you dig too deep into them, you will find flaws because it's dystopian. Like it's about
Right.
a different world. And I was like, okay, fair enough. That's true.
Mhm.
But this book, though, this concept was just a little too far fetched for me.
Yeah.
Like even Fahrenheit 451 banning books,
Mhm.
100%. I could see that one day.
Yeah.
Or like banning
That's our-
banning things.
I think there's places in the world with, I mean, they're
Yeah.
already trying to, like in the United States, there are
Yes.
places that are trying to ban books.
to ban and just the concept of banning.
Banning in general, yeah.
In this book, I actually wrote this in my notes when I first read it. I was like, it's giving me Fahrenheit 451 vibes in a
Mhm.
way because kind of the way it was written was very like choppy to the point. I felt like
Mhm.
that about Fahrenheit 451.
Mhm.
I recently taught that book to my ninth graders a
Yeah.
couple years ago, and I remember being like, this book is a really big concept for a ninth grader to really wrap their brain around.
Mhm.
So I thought like maybe Tender as the Flesh could be like a college curriculum
Mhm.
type of book, like if it's to break down dystopian novels. I
Right,
could see
right.
that.
Yeah.
Like that could maybe serve its purpose, but other
Yeah, I
than
definitely
that,
never thought about that because
Yeah.
I didn't think much more
Mhm.
about the book. Then thank you, I'm finished.
Thank God.
Thank God I'm finished.
But like maybe could see that.
but maybe I could see it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Real maybe. Okay, are you ready for the next question?
Yes, I'm ready.
Marcos, the book's protagonist, observes that words mask unspeakable horrors. He claims that in this dystopian society, fancy words are used to describe the dehumanization of humans and the transition to cannibalism. What do you think about the concept? Do you think it was successful in Marcos' society?
Okay. The concept of like words masking horrors, like sure, I think that is maybe something that is prevalent in just the real world. Like
yeah, I would agree with that.
like terrible things are given a name and it's like, okay. Like I can't really think of an example, but like
Mhm.
I think in this book he meant that like the cutting off of someone's head had like a fancy name. They're like, oh, that's just the process of blah blah blah. And so like it was normalized,
Oh, for sure.
but not much of the concepts in this book felt like a success to me. Like it still was like just because you give um the act of cannibalism a fancy name,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think in our real world people would just so easily like succumb to it and be like, okay, well it's called this. So
I would hope not. You know,
me too, bitch.
yeah, you know what got me when they would talk about, like, for instance, they called them a head instead of people,
Right.
so that made it not so
Exactly.
crazy.
And I guess that's kind of what this question means, like
Yeah.
calling people head instead of humans.
They're still humans,
Right.
and it's still very wrong.
Yeah.
I think what got me too is the female heads when they would become pregnant that they
Mhm.
would cut their arms and legs off,
No.
so
I
they
know.
were just a torso.
That part of the book, that was kind of in the beginning too, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, this book's not for
Yeah,
me.
I was like, okay, what's our next book? Because I am not feeling this
No, and
one.
especially because the writing, like you said, was so choppy. It was just like the females who were impregnated had their limbs cut off. That was laying on a torso with no arms or legs.
Literally.
Next, and it just
I
like
know.
went on to the next thing. I was like, what?
Marcus
gonna talk
drives
about
to
that?
work. He sees a zoo. He goes to the zoo. I'm like, oh, I can't take it.
Yeah, no, 100% agree.
Okay. The book was very hard on the stomach. The images of humans, ranging from babies to grown adults being bred and eaten, were often difficult to picture. Do you think the book's imagery successfully served a purpose?
So I'm assuming that the purpose of the imagery would be just to really let the reader, I suppose, understand what the world would be like if cannibalism became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would if we had to turn to cannibalism for some reason, like you have to eat meat to survive, how can we best make it, I don't know, rational? And I think the imagery was to show you how they did it, like how they cut the arms off, how they had them in a slaughter line.
Yeah,
The purpose it showed me though was I hated it.
I did too.
It
I,
all-
I really disliked it.
It also made me think of the imagery made me think of like actual slaughterhouses with animals, and I was
Mhm.
like, God, that's terrible.
I know.
I know I can't say shit because I enjoy a good burger,
I do too.
but
I do love a burger.
but thinking about it is like really sick and twisted and sad.
It is.
And so I was like, the imagery just made me sick.
Yeah. I was 50-50 on that imagery.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like some of it was necessary,
Yes.
but I feel like it would describe the line a few chapters, and then it almost was like it was repeating the same thing
Yeah.
that was already
It kind of all
said.
goes back to the writing, really, because
Yeah, it just
had the imagery been developed better, then
yeah.
the purpose might have been more obvious to me.
I agree with that
Mm-hmm.
because we got all of this graphic detail
Yeah.
where it did go into detail for what?
Right.
Zero payoff.
Yes. Zero payoff, and that's kind of like
It just
the whole
and it was
theme.
so hard for me to follow the book.
Yeah.
The timeline, because I'm like, hold up, present now it's 8 months later, but you just had to know because she was pregnant, 8 months pregnant.
Right. No. I didn't even
Sorry
realize that.
for that
but
clap.
That's okay.
It just it was
It
all
wasn't it.
over.
It wasn't
It just I'm just glad we're moving on.
Same.
Okay. So our final DBQ. There are two horrors in this book. There is the industrialization and normalization of human suffering, and there is the indescribable pain of grief. What do you think the overall message of the book was?
Okay. The pain of grief part, I have a hard time with understanding the message of the book because, like we said earlier, it wasn't ever dug really into. The only way we would think that a theme of the pain of grief would be the fact that Marcos and Cecilia lost their baby,
Right.
and then by the end of the book, they stole someone else's baby, killed Jasmine, and like in an attempt to make their own family. We could say that that was out of the indescribable pain of grief.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Yes, but like it just wasn't developed their story for me to even understand their grief at all.
Yeah, I feel like it was hard for readers to develop their own overall takeaways from this because
Mm-hmm.
in the almost 200 pages, there just wasn't anything for us to grasp a hold on
Mm-hmm.
or of, except for the fact that
It was just
cannibalism
terrible.
was right,
Yeah.
is legal,
Yeah, and that it was bad.
and that it was bad. Like,
So agreed.
I just,
This is what like I think the purpose kind of was, or the overall theme. And this is kind of what
Mhm.
I got from other people when I was looking
Mhm.
online. So this book was summed up for me in one quote that I read. It was the convo between Marcos and a man named Erlet. He was like the guy who was doing the hunting reserve, like the
Yeah.
rich guy who hunted people. He says, the human being is complex, and I find the vile acts, contradictions, and characteristics of our conditions astonishing. Our existence would be exasperating shade of gray if we were all flawless. He also says, after all, since the world began, we have been eating each other. If not symbolically, then we have been literally gorging on each other. The transition has enabled us to be less hypocritical. Okay. So
it is
It-
that's a pretty powerful quote.
it is
for as
power-
much as I didn't enjoy it.
Agreed. I found that to be powerful, and I was like, I think that was what the book was putting down for us to pick up,
Mm-hmm.
was like the human race is like evil to its core, or
Mhm.
some people in the human race. So it highlighted, I guess, the many ways in which humans at their core, you said this earlier, will do whatever it takes, whether that's
Yeah.
to survive, to fuel their own desires, or ease their own guilt and grief. However, this book had me reflecting on the idea that I would like to believe that all of humanity is not just simply evil to their core. Like, I would like to.
I don't believe.
No.
I think there are very evil people in this world,
Absolutely.
but I can't summarize humanity as a whole being evil.
Yeah. And I think that's what the books. And maybe not everybody
I
took
see-
this from that.
Right, and I see where you're going with that because
Mhm.
I think you and I were kind of texting about it, and it was like, do we have zero faith in humanity
Mm-hmm.
that one day this is where we'll just look at each other like a meal?
Like a
Like-
meal. Like, what can I do to survive? I
Like-
don't care what that takes.
Yeah, like we have to go back into just straight up fight or flight, like actual fight or flight.
Right. And they would just be so normalized.
Right.
Normalized to the point that Marcos' sister had a actual whole ass human in like her other room, her spare bedroom, with his arm chopped off because they were eating it at the dinner table.
The kid had it, right?
Yeah, he was like gobble gobble, like no.
And I just,
So
I don't know.
so like not everyone we don't assume would jump to just accepting this. Or and I think
Mhm.
in the book it was explained that not everyone did, like there was some pushback, but not enough. Seemed like okay, we're all just gonna accept this, like we're just gonna eat people.
No, people
So
were accepting it.
so
People were straight up accepting that this was
yeah, that's
what it was.
it's what we got to do.
But did Marcos eat meat?
He said he took a break from eating meat after he saw the horrors
Yeah.
that the humans endured. But then it was like so gross one part when he was at the hunting reserve when he like they forced him to take a bite and he was like, "Damn, forgot how good it tasted." I
Oh
was
my
like, "Come on,
gosh.
Marcos, what the fuck?"
Marcos. But I think that, okay, so would that go back to being like, well, he's only human. We
So-
all have our flaws.
Oh my god. That's too flawed.
I know. I know. But I'm trying to like
Yeah,
wrap my brain around
yeah,
what the author was trying to do.
yeah. And from what reviews I saw people saying was that like it was that deep, like it was to make you think about the darkness in humanity, which of
Mhm.
course is there, but like this just took it to another level that I don't think is actually there.
No. I don't know. And I'm like thinking overall thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I, I don't really have any overall thoughts.
No,
I
I just
just-
didn't like it.
I just didn't like it. I think we always talk about, and something that we really value in reading is
Mhm.
that it takes you to wherever you are in the moment. It is supposed to make you feel good, even if you're reading a thriller, right? Or a
Right.
murder book.
Or like Pretty Girls. That book wasn't the concept of the book was pretty terrible, but
yeah, but you still found enjoyment. Like any of
Exactly.
your favorite TV shows, reading should give you that same
Mhm.
intensity, that same joy,
a little escape.
an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I know we both like always tell our students and
Mhm.
try to promote how great reading really is for you.
Yes.
And when I was reading this book, I didn't feel any of it.
Yeah, it pushed the reading slump, like we said, to new heights.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think that's my takeaway
Yeah.
is that it just didn't give you
Mhm.
what the beauty of reading should give.
Yes. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation too,
Mhm.
because that's just we're not gonna love every book.
Right.
And
We're not.
And I'm glad that we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And
It actually feels really good to
it-
say.
it really does. And
Say
books
the
are so
things.
personal, and I completely validate people who did enjoy this book. Like,
Oh, yeah.
but it's a no for me, dog.
It's a no. It was a flop.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and to be honest, I thought I was gonna love it. I thought this was gonna be
Amber, I thought this was it.
one of my.
Me
I was
too.
I was gonna put it in a like it must be read by everyone, and that was only judging by reviews of other readers.
I know. I thought this book was the book. It wasn't.
I again, no judgment to people that enjoyed the book.
Yeah, fair.
I can't get on board with it.
Yeah, so I share those same overall thoughts. The
Yeah.
ideas that it presented were huge, and the execution just wasn't there.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
The ideas and the concept of this book, I think, was so interesting.
Mhm.
Had it been given, I don't know, completely different writing, it would have went a whole nother way for me, and I would have been so in. But the execution just wasn't there. I think I said this earlier, but like a book that presents these concepts should probably be like 500 pages long. Like
Something
it
you
just
won't hear me say often.
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So I can handle the trigger warnings. I can handle the disturbing stuff,
I-
but only if
I
they
agree.
serve a purpose. Like
Absolutely.
only if they have payoff
And resolution.
and resolution, and you walk away from the book like that was a tough read. There was some hard and
Mhm.
maybe controversial or just disturbing topics discussed, but like I learned something or I felt something. I felt connected to the characters or the themes. But no, this book was just like gory for no
For
reason.
no reason.
Yeah, so
I do agree with that.
and we appreciate y'all listening to our our venting session.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you read this book and you had other thoughts, let us know.
Please let us know. I would love to hear from one of our listeners that enjoyed the book.
Me too. I would
think that
love
would
to
be
hear
such
your
an interesting conversation.
yeah, love to hear that perspective.
Yeah.
And if you read it and you agree with us, like let us know.
Yes.
We're interested.
because I think one of our favorite things, I think I speak for the both of us,
Uh-huh.
we love talking with you on social media.
Yes, we really do.
It is so fun and just talking about all the books with you. So we definitely want to keep up that community that we have,
Yeah.
going over there.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Are we
That
ready
was
for our
it.
next books?
Yeah, that was it. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to let go. Moving on,
Moving-
letting go. Hannah Montana song.
Get it, girl, because this one gets the stamp of disapproval.
100%. Sorry.
Moving on.
Oh, that was so nice.
That was my stamp. All right. So our next book will be Archer's Voice. We are switching some things up. We need a nice little palate cleanser.
Yes.
I was going to say, how do you feel about that?
Exactly. A palate cleanser is the
We need
perfect
it.
way to put it. We need something that we know is going to just bring us joy
Yeah.
and be really interesting. And I just need something that's not like doom and gloom. And I'm
Yes.
all for the thrillers and the horrors.
too.
But you know what? In this moment, it feels right.
It
to
does feel
choose
right.
Archer's Voice.
So here we go. It
Okay.
is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This is the story of a woman chained to the memory of one horrifying night and the man whose love is the key to her freedom. It is the story of a silent man who lives with an excruciating wound, and the woman who helps him find his voice. And it just sounds so lovely.
It sounds beautiful.
And I really hope that payoff is there.
Me too. Because
I have high hopes.
And I was gonna say I've seen so many great reviews, but I've also seen so many great reviews of Tinder is the Flesh.
I
so
know.
we just have to make our own review.
So I think it's going to be great.
I really do too.
And then our second book, we are going to do Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This book is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
If you're on Instagram
Yeah.
and TikTok,
Book Talk.
Bookstagram, it's everywhere.
Mhm.
So go ahead and give that one a look up on TikTok and
Yeah.
you'll see everything.
Yes.
So I saw this very short little excerpt of a summary from Katie's book blog, and it says that Haunting Adeline is the story of Addie, an author who lives alone in the haunted manor that she inherited from her grandmother. Shortly after moving in, she discovers a dark secret. Her great-grandmother was murdered in that house, and the killer was never caught.
Mhm.
But if you look up
Yeah.
the book on TikTok, you're going to see that it's
Yeah.
much, much more than just that.
Yes. It seems very intense. My sister-in-law Victoria, I asked her last night, "Have you read this book?" And she was like, "Of course I have."
Right.
And I loved it. I was obsessed. She
can't
showed
wait.
me the first 2 pages are like trigger warnings.
Mhm.
So it does get dark, but I think it's a different kind of dark than what we just read. It's more like a dark romance. So stick with us, people.
Stick with us.
It seemed really good. I read a couple of chapters. She like brought me to this really
Yeah.
spicy one, and I was like, all right, I'm sold.
sold.
All right, fine, I'll
pick
do
up
it.
my copy today.
Yes.
So those are our next books. We're very excited. Again, a little switch up from the thriller murder world.
Yes. I'm really excited.
I'm excited
A
too.
switch up is always good.
A switch up is good.
Yeah.
I'm
it is.
always down for that.
Me too. Well, I think that was it.
I think that's it.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for listening to episode 5 of
Yes.
the Open Books Podcast with Amber and Colby. We love y'all.
Love y'all so much.
We're so happy that we're doing this. It's so much fun. And I know this was a little more on the negativity side as far as the book review, but it was the
It
truth.
was an honest review.
It was an honest review. Like we always say, it had to be said.
It had to be
You have
said.
to say your truth. The next couple books definitely are going to bring us back bring us back out of our reading slump.
Yes.
And of course, like we mentioned earlier, our little mini episodes are going to be so much fun. So
Can't wait.
make sure y'all are following us on Instagram and TikTok, especially Instagram though, because I think that's where we'll post the polls.
Yes.
To have y'all reply to questions for us to read on our mini episodes. The Instagram is at Open Books Podcast. TikTok is at The Open Books Podcast. We also have a Facebook page where we post a lot too.
We
You
do.
can find us on the Facebook. I think that's it.
That is it.
We enjoyed hanging out with you guys, and we will catch y'all on the next one.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye.